Yeah, right. You better get back to school, little boy.
Ow! Get your ass to jail! Ow! Hey, what the hell are you doing? You can't do that! Ow! Ow! Ow!
Hello, my name is Trent Theory. Welcome once again to another South Park episode review. Before I move on to the review, I would just like to talk about why I haven't been uploading these South Park reviews much lately. Well, because they haven't been getting the viewership that I hoped that they would get. Last year, my South Park reviews were the most watched videos on my channel, and they got over 3,000 and 4,000 views. This year, they're getting like just over 100 views. So it's like nobody's watching them anymore. If you're a fan of my South Park reviews and you want me to keep on making them, please leave a comment in the comment section. Well anyway, now that that's said, let's move on to the South Park review. Today I'm going to talk about Season 2, Episode 3, Chickenlover. When you think of a classic old school South Park episode from the first 3 seasons, this is generally the first one that pops into your head. It's either this one or Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh, because this is just a really iconic episode. It's the one where Cartman's dressed up as a cop and he's like, "Respect my authority!" So the plot of the episode is about a bookmobile coming to the school, and the boys all have to borrow books. But they're like, books are totally gay. Because what 8-year-old kid wants to read books? They all like video games. And then everybody hears a noise and wonders what it is. And meanwhile, Officer Barbrady is in his police car filming an episode of the show Cops when he gets a call. And it turns out that some guy had sex with a chicken. But then they hand Officer Barbrady the note and he looks really confused. And then he acts really weird and starts, telling everybody to leave the area. So then Officer Barbrady hops back into his car and he looks at the stop sign and then the letters get jumbled. And then he goes through a drive-thru and orders something to eat. But then it turns out that the drive-thru is a bank and not a fast food restaurant. Because why not? A drive-thru bank. So then Officer Barbrady publicly announces that he is illiterate and he cannot read, and he decides to retire. Well, Officer Barbrady was the only police officer in South Park for some reason. So since there's no police, everybody in South Park starts rioting and looting and stealing stuff. So the mayor comes up with the decision that Officer Barbrady should learn how to read and go back to school. So Officer Barbrady goes back to 3rd grade and he's in Mr. Garrison's class with the boys. And while this is happening, more chickens are being raped. So then the class has to do a book report, and Officer Barbrady gets an A on his book report, but the chicken lover left another note at the crime scene, and they give it to Officer Barbrady and he still can't read it, and the note tells him to read a book. So they go to the bookmobile to get it, and the bookmobile driver gives it to them. So then they're at the library, and they're reading the book over and over again until Officer Barbrady finally knows how to read it, and in the book it gives him another clue to go to Stark's Pond. So then they go to Stark's Pond thinking that they're going to find the chicken lover, but they find another note which tells them to read another book. But now I'm going to talk about the part of the episode that you're all wanting me to talk about. It's the most memorable part of this episode. Cartman dressing up as a cop. So Officer Barbrady, while he's learning to read and get better at literacy, he needs somebody to go out on the streets and make sure that South Park is a safe place. So he gives that responsibility to Eric Cartman, and he gives him one of those bats that, police use to hit people with. And one of the funniest moments of the episode is when Cartman is dressed up as a cop and he's riding around on his little bicycle, and he pulls people over. He pulls over Stan's dad. "You were driving 30 miles an hour, you know what the speed limit is here?" And then Stan's dad's like, "According to that sign over there, it's 30 miles per hour. And then he tells Stan's dad to get out of the car and then beats the crap out of him. And then there's the part where Cartman dresses up as a prostitute and and he's trying to arrest people who are soliciting prostitution. And then he goes to Kenny's house and like knocks on the door and he's like, "Step out of the car." And then he beats the crap out of Kenny's parents. Like, this is just like a classic South Park storyline. I mean, I didn't really care too much about the Officer Barbrady storyline, but the Cartman dressing up as a cop beating the crap out of people part, like, that was just hilarious. Well, back to the Officer Barbrady thing, he reads the other book and he gets the other clue to go to the petting zoo. So Officer Barbrady, Kyle, Stan and Kenny rush to the petting zoo, and then Cartman gets the report on his radio about to go to the petting zoo, and he rushes off there. Officer Barbrady gets there just in time when the chicken lover is about to have sex with a chicken, and it turns out to be a guy in a President Nixon mask. Then they take the mask off him, and it's the chicken lover, who was the bookmobile driver. And of course it was, like, of course the character who was introduced in the episode is gonna be the villain at the end. But I thought that it would have been Mr. Garrison or something, because, like, he's known for having sex with animals. But the bookmobile driver's excuse for having sex with chickens was because he found out Officer Barbrady was illiterate and he wanted, you know, to have sex with the chickens so that, you know, he could leave clues at every crime scene to get Officer Barbrady to read a book, even though the first chicken was raped before Officer Barbrady even announced that he couldn't read, so that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Unless the first chicken lover was like, you know, just a random different guy, and then the bookmobile driver was a copycat. So anyway, Officer Barbrady can read and he stops the chicken lover and then they throw a party for him. Well, this is a pretty classic episode of South Park. Like, as I said, I wasn't too keen on the Officer Barbrady storyline. Like, this is one of the only episodes of South Park to really focus on Officer Barbrady. In most of his other appearances, he was just like, you know, a little character that would come in for one line here and there. Sorry about this review and how jumbled it is, and I may have left a few things out. I don't fucking rehearse these bloody videos, I don't write it down exactly what I'm gonna say, I just say it off the top of my head. So if you do like the video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment and just say if you want me to continue doing South Park reviews. My name is Trent Terry, see you next time everybody.